Hey everybody. Oh man, I forgot to get rid of all this stupid shit. Let's see. Does the Chatamabob work? That can go. That can go. And that can go. And that can go. I didn't even set it up. I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot. I forgot I had to do this today. Alright guys. You guys ready to learn a little something? I think you are. We're learning CIA and Satanism. There it is. The Chatamabob. It's working. Hanford. Hanford. Hanford? You got to hit the lights, Hanford. Not on that, Hanford. Hanford, you're killing me. Hanford. Hit the lights. Thank you. All right, guys. You ready? You hate learning? Well, then just pretend like you're interested.
I don't know if you know it or not. Some of you do, some of you don't. Former head of the FBI, Los Angeles, California, retired in 1979.
Oh, shit.
March. And shortly after my retirement, I was asked to investigate the Jeffrey McDonald case as a private investigator.
This is a badass dude.
He's a former Green Beret doctor who was convicted of murdering his wife and 2 children in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, February 17, 1970. It's a long story. I put in about 2,000 hours on the case.
I saw that.
First began, my investigation first began, I told Dr. McDonald that I would investigate the matter for him. He had just been convicted and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences. I think I'm going to sneeze.
Poor little guy.
Make it. Okay. 3 consecutive life sentences. I told him if I found out that he was guilty, I would no longer be on the case. I would drop my investigation. Much to my surprise, from the evidence that I read, information that I developed over a period of several years, I've established beyond any question of a doubt that this man is absolutely innocent. And on October 25, 1980, I obtained a signed confession from Helena Stokely, the girl in the floppy hat, if you know the case. By the way,
the girl in the floppy hat.
There was a
I don't know what he's talking about.
Television and a movie out on this. And the girl in the floppy hat said that Dr. McDonald did not commit those crimes. They were committed by my satanic cult group.
Damn, dude.
And it was my initiation into the cult that night.
You sure she wasn't just drugged up?
And she gave me detailed information about the movement within the house that night, who did what. And I said to her, Helena, how do I know you're telling me the truth?
Uh-oh.
And so one of the questions I asked her, the whole series of questions I asked her, and this is on audio, video, in some instances the video, but
it's on audio and video.
Always on audio. She said, I said, Lena, tell me about.
I knew it.
Describe the jewelry box on the dresser in the master bedroom. And she described it right to a T. And just to make sure, I went down to Sears Roebuck and got a catalog and brought it back. And I said, Helena, pick out the jewelry box in this catalog that was on the dresser.
The one I circled.
The jewelry box. It matched. Also, she told me that she attempted to ride a rocking horse in the child's bedroom that night. But she couldn't ride it because the spring was broken.
How did she know that?
The only way she could have known that spring was broken was to have been there the night of the murders, February 17, 1970. So anyway, I submitted a 1,200-plus page report, actually 1,100-plus page, almost 1,200 pages.
All right. All right. Stop bragging.
March of 1981.
Let's get to the Satanism.
The FBI, Judge Webster, with a personal letter. He was director of the FBI. And I said, Judge, I believe this man is innocent, and he'd run out of money.
Well, this could be from like 1986 for all we know.
And, you know, I'd continued to work it as I usually do. And I think that the FBI should continue along the lines of my investigation. And much to my surprise, I started receiving, by the way, it also went to the FBI and to the U.S. Department of Justice, the Solicitor General's office. And much to my surprise, my witnesses, my 19 new
I know CIA is probably full of Satanists, but, you know, these guys, you never know. You know what I mean?
Witnesses, including Alina Stokely.
There's a lot of fakes.
Started calling me and saying, hey, Ted, the FBI has interviewed me. They're trying to get me to recant. And I'm saying to myself, that isn't the responsibility of the FBI. The FBI is supposed to gather information, not destroy it.
Yeah, what's that about?
And that was my first clue that we had a serious problem in that case. And then I continued on, and I had a number of other cases that I handled privately. And in each instance, I noticed evidence was lost, destroyed, stolen. I noticed that there were strong indications of corruption. So I asked myself,
it was that squirrely feather Comey. You know he was doing something.
What's going on here?
I bet you that's who it was.
And over the years, I started gathering material until
that's probably exactly what it's
about
for.
2 years ago. Up until about 2 years ago, I kept saying there's a loose-knit network operating in this country involving drugs.
Oh, is this Ted Gunderson? Isn't that guy like I don't know, like basically one of these alien hucksters?
Pedophilia, pornography, prostitution, corruption, etc., etc.
Prostitution?
2 years ago,
dang.
From my research, I'm convinced it's much more serious than that. It's more than a loose-knit network. It is a conspiracy.
Oh, shit.
And you know how the news media comes after us when we use the word C, conspiracy, that C word.
Cunt?
Well, they can come after me all they like, because I guarantee you, right here and now, we do have a conspiracy.
Truth gets buried in the sea of
I'm
karate
going to prove it to
masters.
you
That should be the tagline of this stream.
here today. Now, one of the things that convinced me and really got me started in this regard, by the way, this conspiracy involves pornography, drugs, corruption.
What a party.
Involves pedophilia, involves organized child.
That's not fun.
Kidnapping rings.
Drugs and whores is fun, but when you start throwing that in the mix, then it's not fun anymore.
The Finders out of Washington, D.C., CIA cover, covert operation, involved in the international trafficking of children, terrorism, bank accounts.
The only FBI director I know was, what is his name? William S. Sessions, because his names were on all the arcade games. Winners don't use drugs.
And it goes on and on. By the way, I strongly urge you go to my booth after this lecture and get my research, my book and my research on missing children. We're going to go into that a little bit in the lecture.
Oh, they're on the moon, remember? The missing kids are on the moon.
Lecture documents that the finders, an organization in Washington, D.C.,
you should have said that.
CIA front. It's a covert operation. They're involved in international trafficking of children. And I have a U.S. Customs report, official U.S. Customs report, in my book on the missing children. So I urge you to get it. It's only $10.
I'm talking about the 80s.
Now, if you buy any of my products,
everyone knows
my
J.
research,
Edgar.
I beg of you, I don't want you to buy it unless you make a half a dozen copies and send it to your friends.
Oh, sure, buddy. What a scam. Yeah, you just buy one, and then you could copy it for your friends. I'm not out here to make money or nothing.
Okay? The name of the game with me is not copyright. I could care less about copyright. The name of the game is education, education, education. We need to know what's going on in this country today. So anything, any of my research that you buy, please make copies and get them out to your friends. That's what it's all about. After one of my lectures, here's about 2 years ago, this is why I changed my mind from and using the word hallucinate network to conspiracy. After one of my lectures, a gentleman came up and gave me a book. He said, Ted, in fact, that lecture was specifically on the McDonald case. Ted, here's what it's all about. Take this book and read it. And this is the book, folks. It's called Pawns in the Game. Now, if you don't know
Fonz in the Game? I would read Fonz in the Game.
If you don't know of it, I urge you to buy it. I've been trying to buy it, but I noticed one of the vendors out here has it. And please, go get the copy of this book. I forget which vendor
Gunderson needs a beer.
What? CPA book. Yeah. I noticed they had 3 copies. Are you with CPA book?
Oh, Pawns, not Fonz.
Huh? Richard Flowers. Go get this book when it's over and order some more copies. I'm going to order some myself and start selling them in my flyer. Anyway,
Sadly,
it's called
it wasn't
Pawns in the Game, and it's by William Guy Carr. William Guy Carr had the same problem I did. He wanted to know what's going on in America and around the world. He was a Canadian, however.
It's Satanism.
And as a result of his research, he wrote this book.
Oh, about the finders?
So we have...
Yeah, I read that. Well, at least some of it.
The Illuminati.
Oh!
Now, the Illuminati was established in 1776 by a fellow named Adam Weishaupt. In 1773, he was commissioned by one of the Rothschilds, House of Rothschild, to put together an organization called the Illuminati. And he culminated his work in May the 1st, 1776. If you'll notice, that's a communist holiday. And we're going to have to move along pretty fast. This is actually
I don't think there was a Fonz arcade. There might have been.
A 4-hour lecture I'm going to give you today. We're going to do it in probably
Banan, we know you're part of the Illuminati.
15, 20 minutes. But some of his goals, and the goals that he was commissioned to set up, there were 25 of them. And here they are right here. Here's the beginning of it right here. And rather than read each one of them, I'm going to summarize it.
Oh, we got pictures.
Because we got a lot of work to get into. Number 1 issue was men are inclined to evil rather than good.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 goal and issue was to preach liberalism.
Illuminati, sign me up.
Number 3, use the ideas of freedom to bring about class wars.
Oh, shit, that's
what we're doing today.
That's what's
Number
happening
4,
today.
any and all means should be used to reach our goals as they are justified. Any and all means. Number 5, their rights lie in force. We're talking about the Illuminati rights.
Yeah, he should have stayed on the finders, but this guy is just a fucking turd, used car salesman who goes town to town and speaks of nothing important.
Number 6, the power of our resources must remain invisible until the very moment when it has gained the strength that no cunning or force can undermine it. And if you will notice, it's been a very few people know about the Illuminati, so they have maintained their invisibility until most recently. Number 7, advocated mob psychology to obtain control
Oh,
of
we should, but who would I watch? Who could we watch, though, without getting copyrighted through the ass?
the masses. Number 8, use alcohol, drugs, moral corruption, and all forms of vice to systematically corrupt the youth of the nation. I mean, I don't need to document that one. How about South Central L.A., CIA drug operations coming in there?
Yeah.
How about Mena, Arkansas? Drugs coming into this country. Arms and munitions going out. You don't believe me? Talk to Terry Reid. Talk to Chip Tatum. Talk to some of these other individuals who I know personally know. During the recent, last fall actually, drug hearings by Mr. Arlen Specter, Senator Arlen Specter, one of the big phonies of Washington, D.C.,
Damn
the
right.
magic bullet theorist. I watched those hearings.
There's got to be somebody we could snake off of. You know what I mean? Give a little.
And I couldn't believe the mamby-pamby, weak witnesses he brought forward, people that really had no direct knowledge of the drug operation. And that hearing was about bringing drugs into South Central L.A. by the CIA. I sent him a list of 16 names of people who've had personal, direct knowledge
Who's this?
of drugs being brought into this country by the CIA.
I don't know if we can get away with watching the
those people ever appeared as witnesses. I might also mention in Oklahoma City, I sent my report, copied my report back to the committee. I sent them a fax and said I had information which would be vital to your investigation of the Oklahoma City bombing. That report, by the way, is also available.
Unless, hear me out on this. Unless we take it to, what the fuck's it called, guys? What the fuck? What's that other streaming site?
So
I'm sorry, guys. I drew a blank.
Never received a response. Number 9, seize property by any means. We're seeing that on a daily basis.
D Live,
Farmers,
yeah, we'll take it to D Live.
Businessmen.
Then we can make fun of everybody.
People who are arrested on nebulous charges.
I'll think about it.
Being taken away from them. Here's an example right here. This lady right here, she lost everything. Everything. They've come out and raided her house twice, Linda. Twice, Linda. This lady had a house that she bought before her marriage.
Uh-oh.
It was in her name, and they seized it. She no longer has that house.
Bastards.
Number 10, deal with the use of slogans such as equity, liberty, fraternity into the mouths of the masses in psychological warfare. Boy, if that isn't Bill Clinton, I never saw it and never heard it before.
See? Bill Clinton.
That man is unbelievable. As former Congressman Denemeyer describes him, he's a draft-dodging, womanizing, pathological liar. And he certainly fits in.
Hey, you don't have to do that lemon shit. I don't even know how it works anyway.
Number 10.
Whatever I do on D Live.
Number 11 dealt with war. Number 11 theory and goal. In 1773, Adam Weizsäcker set down policies that were publicly announced in 1939, folks. 1773, publicly announced 1939 by Britain and the United States. And the war should be directed so that the nations on both sides are placed further in debt and peace conferences conducted so neither combatants obtain territorial rights. Yalta. Perfect example. Stalin, Roosevelt.
You shook Bill Clinton's hand. Why'd you do this?
Winston Churchill after World War II. Number 12. Told those present that they must use their wealth to have candidates chosen to public office who would be obedient to their demands.
You guys should have fucking voted for Perot. The hell's wrong with you
And
guys?
would be used as pawns in the game by the men behind the scenes. The advisors will have been bred, reared, and trained from childhood to rule the affairs of the world.
Like the Bushes.
We have that today without any
like
question.
Jeb Bush. That slug. With that goblin wife of his. What were you thinking, Jeb?
Behind the scenes. Number 13, control the press. If you heard my lecture
what about now? Our press is controlled.
Yesterday on Oklahoma City, I documented that the mainstream media is being controlled by the big power people, by the phony politicians, by the bureaucrats, without any question about it. Information in the media, I have an itchy nose today. Maybe I'm going to kiss a fool or something, okay?
If you got an itchy sniffer, that means someone's thinking about you.
We have a documentation of that, and I have that in one of my some of my lecture material. I don't know.
Jeb and his guacamole bowl, $100 guacamole bowl is the best.
On my books. Number 14, their agent tours.
Remember the Jeb picture with the guac bowl on his head?
Will come forward after fomenting traumatic situations and appear to be the saviors of the masses when they are actually interested in just the opposite.
Just jumping Jeff like Jeb?
The riots in the riots of South Central LA, folks. Number 15, create industrial depression and financial panic, unemployment, hunger.
That's what we got now.
Of food. Use this to control the masses or the mobs, and use the mobs to wipe out all those.
I like that picture they got of Jeb Bush where he was just walking down the street. And like, I guess it was D.C. He was just walking by himself, and someone caught him.
Dare to stand in the way. Well, I'll tell you right now, every expert I've talked to is talking about food shortage. And it's coming, I'm convinced. And we also know
a vittle
about
shortage
the market crashing here in October. I had a market specialist on my radio talk show, and if you don't listen to my show, I urge you to, because it's a real good, solid education for you. Just this week, George Green, he was also on my show on October the 6th. George told us on October the 6th there would be a crash of the market in October. It came. Now he told us this week.
I think the Republicans were trying to lose on purpose, because why would you put up Jeb and who were the other assholes? Lindsey Graham. In 2016, who was it? It was Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham. Oh, what's his face? Oh, Ted Cruz. Rand Paul.
There'll be another crash, and it'll drop, he thinks, 2,000
They had
points.
nobody that year.
We'll see what happens. I hope it isn't true. Number 15, create industrial depression and financial panics, unemployment. I've already covered that.
Yeah,
Number 16,
so he knew he wasn't going to win Sleepy Ben.
infiltrate into the secret Freemasonry to be used for their purposes. That's been documented many times. Number 17.
Oh, Rubio. Rubio was the worst. And Chris Christie. Yep, Chris Christie. Come on, Chris Christie. He's not the worst guy in the world.
Found the value of systematic deception, use high-sounding slogans and phrases, and advocate lavish promises to the masses, even though they cannot be kept. Again, Bill
all right, what are we talking about, dude?
George Bush was good at that, too, by the way. What's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats high up? Nothing. Zero.
That's right.
You know, Mr. A, who has a booth next to mine, Mysterious Mr. A, he talks about subliminal messages. If you look at the logo of the Republican Party.
Uh-oh, here we go.
You know the elephant with the 3 stars across the top? Well, if you look at it today compared to 2 years ago, the stars have been inverted.
What? Satanists.
The point used to be at the top 2 years ago. Now, the point's at the bottom. Satanic, folks. I can't say for sure, but that's a subliminal message.
All the proof you need, guys.
Inverted stars. Number 18, detailed plans for resolution. Discuss the art of street fighting, which is necessary to bring the population to a speedy subjection.
The art of street fighting. I bet you they're called Frank Dukes.
Number 19, use their agent tours as advisors behind the scenes after wars through secret diplomacy to gain control. Number 20, establish huge monopolies toward world government control. We're seeing that today, the huge monopolies. Number 21, use high taxes and
Google, anybody? Amazon?
fair competition to bring about economic ruin by controlling raw materials, organize agitation among the workers, and subsidizing competitors. GATT, NAFTA.
I've been dissing French fries.
Armaments with police and soldiers sufficient to protect our interests.
Yeah, but just Street Fighter the World War about really boring characters. You know what I mean? Really, really boring characters.
Years ago, we had 11 federal agencies that were authorized to carry sidearms, firearms. Now we have 39. Number 23, members and leaders of the one world government would be appointed by the director. Okay, Presidential Directive 25 allows the president, by the way, this is classified, secret, not available to the general public.
Yeah, that guy's
allows
not for you.
The President of the United States, in the event of a conflict or a crisis in this country, transfers the power, his powers, over to the Secretary General of the United Nations.
What?
Number 24, infiltrated
Trump
all
wouldn't do
classes
that.
and levels of society, of government, for the purpose of fooling, bemusing, and corrupting the youth members of society by teaching them theories and principles that we know to be false. This is the outcome-based education program being shoved down our throats by the United Nations. Number 25, national and international laws should be used to destroy civilization. There's talk
Civilization?
about the world population
Well,
being
civilization pretty much is gone now.
decreased to 500 million. The United States population is being decreased to 20 million. And we look at the war
I'm going to be one of the lucky 20 million, guys. What about you?
that we had in the Gulf War syndrome. Look at the people that died there. There were 700,000 troops, American troops there. 4/5 of them today cannot even do a push-up because they're so ill and so sick.
Whoa.
They've been washed out of the service. We have a new army, basically. And the story goes on and on. Okay.
Next.
What are we talking about here? There's a
Magic the
considerable
Gathering. I love Magic the Gathering.
in the United States.
Aleister Crowley was such a fruit, dude. He didn't do anything.
On the various,
You know, when people bring up... Oh, wait, Aleister Crowley. For
organizations.
some reason, I had it mixed up in my head with that LeVay fruit. LeVay was a fruit. Aleister Crowley was a real piece of shit. I take it back.
individuals, whatever you want to
I
call
take
it.
it back.
One of the driving forces
I got the two rubes mixed in my
behind
head.
this movement, the Illuminati, is the satanic cult movement in this country today.
Although Aleister Crowley was kind of a fruit, too, writing poems about bitches farting. Like those mutants we watch on the stream. He was one of the first fart porn guys. He loves
Now,
fart porn, that
When
Aleister
Alina
Crowley.
gave me that signed statement, I said, what in the world is this all about? I don't know anything about Satanism. I'd heard the word, and that's about it. From the Bible, of course. So I began my little journey forward. And one of the matters that I developed information about was an individual I learned about was Aleister Crowley. He likes to have his name.
And Aleister Crowley also wrote a poem about not having a $10,000 gaming PC. He was very upset. He's like, I don't even know what one of those are, but I need to have one.
Pronounced Crowley to rhyme with holy. And the Satanists today, and for the number of years in the past, have basically used his philosophy and his writings as a guide. And so let's talk about some of his writings and teachings.
Oh, here we go.
And here we have
Teachings.
of the bloody sacrifice.
Yay!
Bloody sacrifice.
And here we have the blood is the life.
Why would anybody listen to what he had to say?
And here on page 94 of his book, it would be unwise to condemn as irrational the practice of those savages who tear the heart and liver from an adversary and devour them while yet warm. In any case, it was the theory of the ancient magicians that any living being is a storehouse of energy varying in
Ancient magicians like Amazing Jonathan? That's who I think of when I hear ancient
quantity
magicians.
according to the size and health of the animal, and in quality according to its mental and moral
It's
character.
magic.
At the death of the animal, this energy is liberated suddenly. The animal should therefore be killed within the circle. We're talking about the satanic circle.
Did you just say Theowick's magic?
Or the triangle, as the base may be, so that its energy cannot escape. An animal should be selected whose nature accords that with that of the ceremony. Thus, by sacrificing a female lamb, one would not obtain any appreciative quantity of the fierce energy useful to a magician who was invoking Mars. In such a case, a ram would be more suitable, and this ram should be virgin. The whole potential of its original...
Nice one, Ram.
Original...
That Ram is going to write angry, have angry videos on YouTube.
Total energy should not have been diminished in any ways. And now listen to this sentence, folks, closely. For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force, a male child of perfect innocence, and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable.
High intelligence must suck for you smart guys. I made it through again.
Listen, we're talking about human sacrifices. There are, in my estimation, over 3 million practicing Satanists in America today.
Hanford.
Now, how did I come up with those figures? I have informants.
I just made them up right now.
I have an informant in South Central L.A.
Oh, shit.
Population of 200,000. Told me there are 3,000 practicing Satanists in that area. That's where the famous, well-known case, McMartin case on the preschool took place.
Oh, was that the Finders?
Lincoln, Nebraska. Told me 3,000 practicing Satanists. Lincoln, Nebraska, town of 200,000. South Bay area. Manhattan Beach area, about 200,000. How much time?
You even have the fart poem?
I get more than an hour
Fart
today.
magic?
So just crank up your cameras. Huh? I'm going to take an hour and a half. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to take every minute I can give to you folks, because you need to soak this into your brain.
My brain's already soaked with alcohol.
Town of 150,000. 100,000. 1,500 informants. That averages out about 1.5% of the population. Anyway.
I don't know, man. Crawley's just an old school LARPer.
This is, we're talking
not as much of
about
a LARPer as LeVay was.
The human sacrifice. About 50 to 60,000 individuals are sacrificed every year. There are 8 basic satanic holidays.
Oh.
There are other holidays for the various covens, but
are they
there
bank
basic
holidays
ones that they all honor. Now, one of the practices. This is another book of Aleister Crowley. One of the theories. We talked about human sacrifice. Okay, there it is, right in their book. I mean, I didn't invent that. That's there. Another aspect of their religion, if you want to call it religion. By the way, the federal government does recognize the satanic movement as a religion. Yet in Linda's case, the word Satanism was brought up.
Crowley was an old-timey copes. So mote it be in the witching circle.
By her husband's defense attorney, they sealed the records, have not made it available. And when she writes to her children and says, believe in God, she gets a letter back from these people saying, you can't mention God in your letter to your children. That's just an example, okay?
Whoa.
Okay, we're talking here about the 666. That's the beast. That's Aleister Crowley himself.
Oh,
Moreover, the beast 666 advises that all children shall be accustomed from infancy to witness every type of sexual act, as also the process.
Well, that's happening today. You see what they're doing in class these days?
Birth, falsehood fog, and mystery stupefy their minds, whose error else might thwart and misdirect the growth of their subconscious system of self-symbolism. What we're talking about there is children from birth being exposed to sex. These people, the satanic movement in the world, has set up preschools throughout the world for the purpose of getting their hands on our children. The parents drop them.
What do you mean?
Come back and pick them up at 4, 3, 4, 5 at night. In the meantime, in many of these preschools, the children are exposed to sex from the time of birth. In Linda Wiggam's case,
well, that's kind of happening now.
It's exactly what happened. These children have been exposed to sex from the time that her ex-husband got his
now
hands
everyone's a fucking weirdo.
On those babies, right up to the present time. And I have a page missing, and I'll have to dig that one up some. I don't know what happened to that page.
Yeah, but did Crowley ever pork a bitch for half a pack of smokes? I don't think so.
Maybe the Satanist got it. It may therefore be considered improper as a general rule for your sexual gratification to destroy, deform, or displease any other star. Mutual consent to the act is the condition.
Who would take their kids to train story time, man? Where do these people come from?
Thereof, it must of course be understood that such consent, and we're talking about sex now, is not always explicit. There are cases where seduction or rape may be emancipation or initiation to another. Such acts can only be judged by the result. What they're saying is, it's all right to rape somebody. I mean, if they don't consent, it's all right to rape them because it's for the cause.
Hey, it makes sense to me.
Let's talk about the McMartin case.
Hey,
In
McMartin case time.
April 1985, authorities went to the McMartin case and looked for tunnels under the school.
Oh, is this is that Finder's stuff?
Children had said that they were taken into tunnels under the school. There was a chamber down there. They were sexually molested. That involved ceremonies. Adults with robes, candles, chanting. Adults had no clothes on under their robes.
Num shabum, num shabum.
And they were taken up into a tunnel and a triplex, a bathroom trap door of the triplex next door. They were taken out in automobiles. We're talking about 2, 3, 4-year-old children, folks, and prostituted in the community. The authorities received this complaint in 1983. They began their investigation.
This is crazy because like everyone said that story was full of shit, and then it turned out to be true. They did find tunnels.
Authorities finally in 1987
under a preschool.
Went out and decided to look for the tunnels because they said the children were hallucinating. The children also said that they were taken by air up into a mountainous area where they were exposed to satanic ceremonies based on what they described, and brought back in time for the parents to pick up the kids. So the authorities didn't find anything. We're getting off. Pull those next slides.
Next.
Well, I'll tell you what. In the spring of 1993, I heard that the property of the McMartin School had been sold from the McMartin family to the defense attorney, actually given to him. He didn't make enough off the county. His bill was only $3 million. And from there, he said he was broke and he sold it to a contractor. The contractor was going to build.
I'm trying to pay attention to this guy. You know, these guys, they need like pyro and shit to make it interesting. You know what I mean?
Build an office building on the space. And I heard that the contractor had this property. And so I went out and contacted him. And I said, dear sir, I would like to have access to that property. He said, I'll give you 2 weeks. I signed a contract, assumed liability, and along with some of the parents,
we went adventuring.
We hired an archaeologist from UCLA, Dr. Gary Stickle,
knowing
full well that I'm not qualified to say there's tunnels under there, even if I found them.
Yeah, I don't think Charles Manson really ever killed anybody. They just wanted to get rid of him for some reason.
We began our dig. At the end of 2 weeks, I had to stop.
I'm pretty sure he was happy fucking teenagers in the desert.
Stall, because Dr. Stickle was not quite ready.
I'm sure he didn't want to go out and kill people.
There were tunnels. It took us 34 days. At noon the 34th day, with the bulldozers, with their motors running, ready to knock the building down. He was going to knock the building down and then build this office building. Dr. Stickle said, you know, I can say without any question right now, there have been tunnels under the school. They were filled in. Now, I'm going to show you the documentation on the tunnels. This is it. No, keep it there. Keep that there. This is the what we found. This is a preliminary report. I have a 186-page scientific report available to you out here if you're interested, by the way.
Let's see it.
We found a 9-foot wide subterranean entrance under the west wall.
No pictures, man? Come on.
Of dog room. There were 4 classrooms. That was Ray Bucky's room. By the way, Virginia McMartin and Ray Bucky were tried. Virginia, the grandmother, was acquitted. Ray had a hung jury. And we found these tunnels in the middle of the second trial of Ray Bucky. They could have been used to convict him. We called the prosecutor. He sent his investigator out, Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez told me, I don't want you entering in my conversation with the archaeologist. I said, why? He said, you're too argumentative.
Is that a fact? Pick Rob saw the tunnels and they weren't wide enough, like Craig says. So they just filled them in forever. If I can't get through it, no one can get through it.
And I said, well, okay, you go in and talk. I'll just keep my mouth shut. We went in, he talked, and he argued with the archaeologist. Here's an investigator not qualified to talk about tunnels. He said there aren't any tunnels there, and the archaeologist, of course, argued. But anyway, they didn't use that evidence, strong evidence, in the second trial. They ignored it right in the middle of the second trial. I might mention this. The children identified professional football players, professional baseball players, household name actors, actresses, and the son of the leading politician, not a leading politician, the leading politician in Los Angeles as being perpetrators. Okay, we found an avocado tree root cut on both sides of the entrance, and I'll show you this in just a minute.
This guy's just killing me. He's got to
the entrance
move it.
of the tunnel, as I said, it was 9 feet across the top, and on one side was a live avocado root, on the other side was a dead avocado root. They had to cut that out.
It would have been cool if you took pictures.
This, by the way.
Is there any? I know the report said those. They named Philip Drummond. I know there's a report that says those tunnels existed, but is there any pictures of it?
Plastic Disney bag, copyright 1982, about 4.5 feet below the classroom floor, and 3 to 6 inches in from the entrance and under the foundation. Now,
Jeb Bush.
The reason that plastic Disney bag is so important is because we think that they filled the tunnel in 1982 when the complaint was initially brought to the attention of the authorities. I said 83 earlier, it's 82 when the complaint was made. And when they filled it in, the plastic Disney bag somehow or other flew in there as they were filling it in and nobody noticed it. Now, who says there is no God, right? What documentation, fantastic documentation.
Tell him, Gunderson.
That tunnel, the entrance to that tunnel, this is right at the entrance, was filled in 1982 or sometime subsequent to 1982. Mr. Ken Lanning, the outstanding, know-it-all FBI expert, behavioral science, says that I took that garbage bag in 1993 out of a trash can and placed it there, that I planted evidence. Of course, Mr. Lanning says there's no organized satanic movement in this country today.
It's all crap,
he says. A few dabblers here and there. Thank you, sir. We have another 3 hours to go, okay? Can you hang in there? Okay, the tunnel proceeded south, then 45 feet through classroom 4 and 3 and north, then 10 feet within the classroom 4. The tunnels were 30 inches wide, 44 to 46 inches deep, with the top of the tunnel 30 inches under the classroom floor. The children were able to walk through it. We're talking about young kids now, right? The adults had to stoop down and walk through it, but they could do it. The tunnels were built in kind of a triangular, or I should say a semicircle type. So they had.
Dude, you were the head of the FBI, so you say. Shouldn't you have seen this?
Support, I guess. These people know everything. They are brilliant. The footing between classroom 3 and 4 was arched, where the tunnel passed underneath it, and 12 inches shorter in depth at this location than the same footing 12 feet to the north. I'll show you that in just a minute. That's significant because the arch was where the tunnel went, and it was arched in that particular location, whereas 12 feet away, it was 12 inches longer or thicker. Footing between, let's see, there were 4 large upright containers were found in the tunnel under the arch.
You know, back in the 80s, shit at least was interesting. What do we got now? Just a million pictures of Hunter Biden's pecker. Can we stop? All right, we got it. We got it. He posted a lot of pictures of his pecker. Do you have to plaster it everywhere? It's fucking awful, dude.
Obviously hand-placed. A 9-foot wide chamber was found along the tunnel across classroom 4. The top of the chamber and the top of sections of the tunnel had layers of plywood covered with tar paper, which had apparently been supported by cinder blocks and 2x2 and 2x4 wooden posts found underneath. Tunnel features made it evident that the tunnels had been hand-dug.
Damn. That must have been a pain in the old keister.
The 7-foot tunnel extended into the triplex next door. Tunnel extended from the bathrooms off the office and classroom 1 to the front yard of the triplex next door. Front yard concealed.
Yeah, it must be nice to be a politician's kid. Who wouldn't love to sit home all day and smoke crack?
From the street by a 3-car garage. Children described the entrance and exiting tunnels in the triplex yard exactly where the tunnels and exit were found. A 39 by 41 inch area.
Hanford, you got tunnels under your house, don't you? Oh, flavored tunnels. He says they're flavored tunnels.
The neighbor's bathroom floor had been excavated and subsequently tilled. Now, that was where the kids told us ahead of time.
No, I didn't watch that one, thankfully.
And there was a crawl space in the house about like this, and we got one of our skinny archaeologists to go in there, take pictures. The bathtub protruded underneath the floor of the bathroom. There was a bathroom in the back of the same building in another apartment. It did not protrude there. This is
she
the
got
space
in?
we're talking about, 39 by 41 inches.
Nice.
Just enough room for a kid to come up and be taken out. Other significant facts, small white...
All right, look. I'm sure I'm an asshole here for asking this question, but if they were stealing kids from like a preschool, wouldn't people know? Unless they were just stealing kids and just keeping them in a preschool. I don't know the whole story. It just seems weird. Like, you can't just run off with someone's kid when they're at preschool. Wouldn't they notice?
3 pentagrams, hand-drawn on the top of the light green paint, was found by the archaeologists. Pentagrams were hand-drawn by an adult and not part of the manufacturer's design.
I'm sure I'm missing something here with the story.
Many other artifacts were found whose analysis will be released upon completion of the test. The analysis has been released.
The picture would be nice. That's all I'm saying.
No doorknobs were on classroom 3, only a deadbolt lock. Each classroom had an on and off switch which was labeled fire alarm. The system did not connect to the fire station but was used as an alert within the school if somebody came around. More than 2,000 artifacts were found under the school floor, including over 100
Oh, the
animal
moon kids.
bones.
Now it makes sense.
Due to the constraints and time constraints and so forth, we had to discontinue the process on noon the 34th day. By the way, this cost us, a lot of people donated their time. It still costs us money. It cost us between $55,000 and $60,000.
Yeah, so pay up, jerks.
I personally put in $17,000, which I
and this is where you idiots come in.
ended up, in many instances, paying over a long-term period.
Now, okay, if the parents were in on it and foster kids, then it would make sense.
Payment plan.
Like I said, I
This
knew
is
there was
a,
something I was
floor plan
missing.
of the whole lot. There is, right there, the building itself. This is the entrance, the concrete slab, a vacant lot there. This is a yard. And here's the avocado tree we're talking about. And here's the entrance right there. Now here is the tunnel. It came in here, extended here, and here's the chamber across here. We think, but didn't have time to explore this, the tunnel went up here. Now we definitely were able to come up with it
Look
here.
at that. The fucking Satanists are scrambling the video so you can't see the layout.
And it came into the bathroom over here. Okay. There's the entrance. 9 feet across.
That's
here.
right. I would have been a millionaire if I didn't tell people to copy my book.
Here, I'll show you a diagram.
He's still mad about that.
There's the avocado tree. Those roots are live. Over here, we had a dead avocado root. Okay, next.
Oh, we got some pictures.
There's a plate that was found in the play yard, buried about 6 inches under the sand.
I'm going to make a bunch of those plates and throw them in the neighbor's backyard, then call the police on him. He's a Satanist. Look at the plates.
With the pentagram on it. That's right. And here's a diagram of the tunnel. This is the entrance to the tunnel. Now that's the floor, the footing for the classroom 4. Here's the plastic Disney bag, was located right there, partially under the footing and partially out. And this AF means artificial fill. And this was the shape of the entrance. Okay.
There it is, guys. We're seeing it for the first time.
Here's your diagram. These are your drawings. Artificial fill.
You know what,
Here's
dude? This ain't that old. You could have had some 3D. We watched a guy older probably than this video who made 3D UFOs. You could have made 3D fucking tunnel pictures.
The avocado root there. Here's the dead root over there. Distance 120 or 21
Where was the
inches
pit fighter machine?
below and 14 inches below the footing. There's the avocado root there, live avocado root. And these are all diagrams.
It is hard
by the
to follow.
archaeologists.
It is.
Good document.
But I mean, that's always the scam with these guys. They make it hard to follow on purpose.
There's the roots themselves. That shows you the size, 2 centimeters. Next.
We haven't watched one who stated their ideas in a clear way.
There's the plastic Disney bag. Turn it over. There's the plastic Disney bag.
There it is.
Disney, classroom 82, 83. Sandwich bag. It was a sandwich bag.
But like a lot of people said, is these guys just take some true things and then they just run with it and make up a bunch of other shit. And then you don't know what the next thing you know, you're on Mars.
This shows the arch of the tunnel.
There it is.
Now the school was built in 19.
All right, now we got some pictures. Now I'm happy.
1966, which means the foundation was laid then.
No trolling.
And here's your arch. And this is from classroom 4 here into classroom 3 over
here.
You know
Mickey Mouse was a Satanist.
And
Still is.
It was 12 inches higher over to the left. Go ahead. There's yours truly looking up. This was in classroom 4.
Yeah, there's got to be something to that.
As I recall. And this is where the tunnel extended, right along here. Now, the reason the tunnel's been filled in, you have to understand that. And the reason the archaeologists could say that they were filled in is because the texture of the dirt that had been filled in was different than the natural texture. Okay.
Cool Days lives in those tunnels? It's possible.
In addition to the tunnels...
Well, and they're holding them on the moon, too.
Developed information...
Fucking Palladians.
...that an abandoned satanic site was in Crestline, California. Crestline, California is in the mountains. The
Nothing good ever happened in California.
Ago, they were flown by jet, or flown, they didn't say jet, into the mountains. There's an airport 10 minutes from the McMartin preschool. It's Hawthorne Airport. There's a landing strip in Crestline. I heard about this abandoned satanic site, and I went up to the site, took pictures.
To investigate.
And this is what by the way, before I go on with this, I called the prosecutor in the McMartin case. And I told her, hey, I think I know where the children were taken. If they weren't, it's certainly worth looking at.
To the Getty Museum.
And I will be glad to make this information available to you. And if you want to have the children go up and look at this.
That Getty Museum guy, like, a lot of times I think these guys are just pieces of shit. But the Getty Museum guy was so bad, I just kind of felt bad for him. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You're just making a fool of yourself.
Abandoned satanic site, we can. She said, we're not interested. They weren't interested in hardcore evidence, the tunnel. They weren't interested in this abandoned satanic site.
Yeah, they don't care, because they're in on it. They're Satanists.
This is what we found. 666, one of the satanic signs. That's a
Mark of the Beast.
On the site. The house had been up here. The day after the McMartin case broke in the news, the house burned to the ground.
Convenient.
And it was here. The street's on the other side of the hill. You cannot see the site, this area down in here, from the street. You have to go in. Would have to go in through the house and come down. And this.
How hard is it to say, look, guys, there's this school and there's tunnels underneath. I got pictures. Let's look at the pictures of said tunnel. And here they go. And they were saying the kids were being abducted. Then it led to an airstrip. It's just
you can see it's quite elaborate.
They never go in order, basically, is what I'm trying to say when they describe something.
Judy Hansen, who works
they go
with
back
me
and forth
LA.
and back and forth.
And next. This is looking at the opposite direction of the picture we just took. And you can see there's San Bernardino down in there. And you can see that on the side of a mountain like that, nobody's going to find it unless you fly over with a helicopter. That's probably an altar, flattened stone.
There it is, guys. That's where they'd sacrifice the little fellas.
Also an altar, another altar that had been broken. This is, of course, you recognize the star. Now, this is a satanic symbol. Put the next one. Hold the first one. There it is, right there. Put the first one back on. Now overlay them. Turn it around that way. Okay. Any question about that, folks? No.
Wait. Yeah, I got questions. Oh, okay. Fuck me then, right?
Amsday. Asmodee. A strong and powerful king appears with 3 heads. The first like a bull, the second like a man, the third like a ram.
Oh,
he has a serpent's tail, the webbed feet of a goose, and he vomits fire. He rides the
you got goose feet.
Infernal dragon, carries lance and pennon, and is the chief of the power of Emmerman. He must be invoked, be bareheaded, or otherwise he will deceive. He gives the ring of virtues, teaches arithmetic, geometry, and other handicrafts, answers all
Who comes up with this crap? You know, like 1,000 years ago, someone came up with this stupid shit.
questions, makes men invisible, indicates the place of concealed treasures, and guards them if within the domain of the Amamon.
And the crotch of a tuna.
Oh, what do we got here? Another satanic symbol. You think that wasn't a satanic side? Overlay it.
All right, dude. Easy.
Okay. Is that it? The other way around, isn't it? Yeah. Flip it around.
On a good smelling goth, dude? Cope's symbol just looks like a pecker.
Okay, there you go. Okay, now let's read what that sign means. That is the seal.
You could hear him running because it's goose feet, and it sounds like this on the ground. Oh, here he comes. He's chasing me with his goose feet. Oh, he's upset. You got clappy goose feet, Satan, dude.
No, that's the wrong one. That's the one before. Belial, a mighty king created next after Lucifer, appears in the form of a beautiful angel seated in a chariot of fire and speaking with a pleasant voice. He fell first amongst the superior angels who went before Michael and other heavenly angels. He distributes preferences of...
No, I'll never stop beating off. How about that?
Ships, causes favors of friends and foes, and gives excellent families. Familiar. He must have offering and sacrifices made to him. Next. And there's another satanic sign. I couldn't make that one out, so I couldn't match it with anything, obviously. Here's some ovens. That was a large circle with a number of signs in it, a lot of writing. We couldn't get up high enough that we could take a good picture of it. Next.
Bunny ears.
And just put that back a minute. That's another case.
All right. Be nice, little projector lady.
Nothing came of that. Nobody was interested in an abandoned satanic site, even though it appears to have been related to the McMartin case. I have to say that I was very disappointed. We gathered this evidence privately.
I'm very disappointed, too, there.
The police don't have the capability of doing so. Too many high-pressure people involved. Too many prominent individuals involved. So that's just an overview of the McMartin case, folks.
Oh, maybe she's in on it.
No question in my mind that it was a satanic operation. And Dr. Roland Summit, UCLA.
All right, but who was involved?
Psychiatrist says, who's done a lot of research in this field also, that there are 50 other preschools in the country where the kids have talked about going down into tunnels. Now, this is another case that I worked out of Philadelphia. Similar case.
Oh, here we go, guys. This is the big one.
And this is the Lou Bear case. Lou called me back in, I guess, the late 80s. And he said that he had gone underground with his children. The great FBI came in with their SWAT team, as they did with Linda, raided his house, grabbed him, put him in jail, took the children, turned them over to his ex-wife, whose boyfriend, according to the children, was sexually molesting them. And
that man was Hunter Biden.
Lou said, "What can I do, and how can you help me?" So I was willing to go back and testify for Lou. And one of the matters that I was going to testify about were the drawings by the kids. And it's not a funny thing, but it's an established fact that children who have been sexually molested
grow up to be fruits.
For some reason or other, when they're, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years old, whatever, will invariably draw pictures of their activity, of their exposure to these nefarious matters. Invariably, they do that. Now, when I was
that's how fruits reproduce.
Age, I was drawing cars and airplanes, and the girls were drawing flowers, right? But these kids invariably will draw these pictures. As you can see from Linda's case, she has pictures at her booth that her children have drawn. Now, I was going to go back and testify for Lou.
This kid just draws picture after picture of wieners.
I was going to say that based upon my reviewing the pictures drawn by the children, they've been exposed to satanic activity. This is the most telltale of all the pictures. I'm going to show you a series of them. This is a totem pole with a goat's head at the top,
children at the various highest level. I understand, again, I say I understand because I'm not sure, because there's
No, I'm not saying hot dog cat 3 times.
so much secrecy involved in the
I
satanic
don't have a
movement.
death sentence.
8, 10 layers of classes of people within themselves, like the dabblers on up to the very highest level. But from my sources and my informants, I've been told that the various highest level of Satanism, you will have the totem pole, which is usually 3 to 6 feet tall, made out of wood, with the goat head at the top. So I was going to testify that based
I
on
never
my
seen one of those.
experience, that these children were exposed to the highest level of Satanism mainly because of this
With the titty spikes.
drawing right here, the goat hole, the totem pole with the goat's head. The judge would not allow me on the witness stand. I flew all the way to Philadelphia from Los Angeles, wouldn't allow me to testify. These are some of the other drawings.
Yeah, but why is that, dude? You know, like I'm saying, I don't even doubt a lot of this guy says, but you know this guy's been spouting other bullshit. No, we're not letting you to testify. You're a whack job.
This is a body on a slab, undoubtedly an altar where they sacrificing blood. The genitals.
My
Let me
pecker.
mention this also. Children who have never been sexually molested in a recent study, not a recent study, a study back about 7 or 8 years ago. Children who have never been sexually molested do not draw the genitals. Children who have been sexually molested, a high percentage of them draw the genitals, and so children who have been ritualistically sexually molested, a higher percentage will draw the genitals.
Pick Rob is a demon.
Little Matt Bear drew a picture of people, a fire, baby being thrown in the fire, human sacrifice, obviously.
Get tossed.
An altar, bone, liver, blood, kitty.
You gotta hold on to these pictures for a minute,
And
dude.
another
What?
ritual.
All right, projector lady. Now you're starting to piss me off, okay? Get on the ball. You've only done this 3 times, or 3 times today.
Ceremony. Here's trees, people, fire. And another. People have no cloth on, he says. Table,
No cloth.
knife, devil.
Yeah, but who are these from? You, like, I mean, at least give a little backstory. You're just
Okay,
throwing up.
that's-
Anyone could have drawn those pictures. Mr. Goat drew those pictures.
Blue Bear case. Now, I think we're gonna we got just a few more minutes.
Yeah,
And
they just throw stuff at
I
you.
want Linda to take the podium, talk about her case, but I'm going to run through these next slides real fast, Linda. 100,000 children disappear every year per reader.
Look, he's doing the I gotta hurry up now thing that every asshole does.
Digest, July 1982. Next. This is the official U.S. Customs report that establishes the great CIA, under the name Finders, a covert operation, is involved in the international trafficking of children. It's about 9 or 10 pages long. We'll just flip through the pages.
But
If
where
you
do the
wanna
kids come from? That's like, that's not just a stupid question. That's the whole thing to the story. Where do the kids come from?
take a look at this report, go to my table, and take a look at it
Like,
if you want.
I think Popcorn Willie said, "Oh, my kids aren't here. Okay, I'll go home." Where do the kids come
Please
from?
buy it. It's $10. Make copies. Get it out to your friends. Okay, just go real quick. Keep going. Go to the last page. Just flip them and then just go to the last page. That's how long it is. Keep going.
Man,
And some more.
what a slave driver. Here's these things we're not going to
That's
talk
it.
about.
Okay.
See, if I had more time, guys, we could totally talk about these pages.
The way this case came about is a group of children were seen in a park in Tallahassee, Florida in 1987. The police were called.
That's not what I meant.
The men were well dressed. They had a van.
I'm just saying, who are these kids in these preschools?
Police came out and talked to the kids. The kids said they were en route to Mexico to a smart school.
Oh, the reports don't answer that either? This is a wacky story. Now, was the preschool just a front where they would just ship kids in? Or just, we'll steal these kids from here and there, and then we'll throw them in the preschool until, some rich guy coughs up the bucks. Then we'll lead them under the place.
Police traced that van back up to the
There's a lot of it
Washington,
censored.
D.C. They raided the Metropolitan Police Department, raided the
That's all I
Finders
want to know is where the kids came
headquarters
from.
and also a warehouse.
I know it's a true story.
They found all this paraphernalia. They found information about international trafficking of kids all over the world. The finder, based on my research subsequent to that, again, CIA covert operation.
Well, I guess the name Finders kind of answers the question anyway, huh? Oh, they just find them and they just store them up there. The preschool was just kid storage.
Was called into it because of the possibility of pornography, and I guarantee that there was pornography involved. Guarantee, okay? Now, this report, this was his report. Again, this is available, Missing Children, $10 in my booth. This report is the final interview by the customs agent when he attempted to go over and get more information than he'd already developed. Okay, let's just go over this. Leave it there, leave it there. Yeah, leave it there.
All right.
Okay, April 2, I arrived at the Metropolitan Police Department approximately 9 a.m. Detective Bradley was not available. He was the detective who was supposed to help him. I spoke to a third party who was willing to discuss the case with me on a strictly off-the-record basis. I would advise that all the passport data had been turned over to the State Department for their investigation. The State, they found...
yeah, there you go. Now it makes sense.
The State Department, in turn, advised the Metropolitan Police that all travel and use of the passports by the holders of the passports was within the law and no action would be taken. This included travel to Moscow, North Korea, and North Vietnam during the late 50s and mid-70s. Folks, it was illegal to travel there to those countries during that period. The individual further advised me of circumstances which indicated that the investigation into the activity of the finders had become a CIA internal matter. The Metropolitan Police report had been classified secret and was not available for review. I was advised that the FBI had withdrawn from the investigation several weeks prior, and that the FBI Foreign Counterintelligence Division, that's FBI headquarters, by the way, had directed the Metropolitan Police Department not to advise the FBI Washington field office, that's the field office, of anything that had transpired. No further information.
Rob, you weren't part of the finders, were you? That doesn't answer anything. Were you part of the finders? What? I'm going to ask one more time. Were you part of the finders, Rob? All right, Rob. Just sit there and be quiet.
Sit back and indulge.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Will be available. No further action will be taken. No action will be taken. The case was closed, and here we have a CIA internal matter. The finders group, the finders case organization, was founded by a CIA agent back in the early 60s, and here we are, 1987, still operating. I have the man's name, I have all the information on it. A real quick overview: CIA experiments with mind control on children, MK Ultra. This is an outstanding article. It's available in that same report. Just flip the page.
Wasn't that a serial killer?
Keep going. Okay, folks, I'm going to turn the podium over to Linda Wiggam. We have about another 15, 20 minutes, I believe.
Are you ready to
Linda's going to talk about her case.
Wiggam?
This is one of the most classic examples of corruption I have ever seen. And believe me, you can tell from my lecture that I've seen some pretty awful examples of corruption. Go on, Linda. Linda Wiggam, my friend, God bless her, she's a fighter.
Oh, yeah. Projector lady. First I want to say fuck you for being so mean to me on the projector.
I'm here to tell you I'm a living, breathing example of what happens when a satanic cult abuses your children.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And sometimes I put slides above the abuse, but after seeing the slides of the children this morning, I think you understand what this is about. And there's pictures
I don't understand anything still.
Over at the booth right out here. The devil to me, maybe 10 years ago, was something that was...
Oh, the Iceman? Oh, the crime, or the mafia guy? Yeah, those videos are great.
Church. I'm still Catholic and Christian. I went to...
Although part 2 of the Iceman, he was totally making that shit up with the crossbow. Get the fuck out of here.
Church, and the devil was something out there that you didn't want to talk about at night, and you didn't talk about in the dark, and it was just something in science fiction movies. My children disclosed just sexual abuse in early 1993. They were masturbating. They were pulling their pants down at the supermarket.
Don't do that. Don't. I used to make fun of I used to have a fake YouTube character that was always pulls Pecker at the
started having
supermarket.
oral
I didn't think people really did that.
sex with my Saint Bernard.
What?
Inserting,
They fucked your puppums?
inserting pens and pencils into the dog's rectum.
Must get boring in California. Must get real boring.
The behavior got worse and worse and worse. I woke up one morning. I don't usually talk about this stuff. I woke up one morning to the bread.
He would dress up like a gay guy and spray and spill a poison drink all over somebody. See, the first one, he had 2 HBO interviews. If you've ever seen the Iceman interviews, you got to watch those. Those are great. The first one was totally, I believe it. And then the second one, he started getting real. Like, I think he liked the attention and just started making shit up.
Butcher block that you cut bread on, because I'm a vegetarian, so it wasn't a butcher block. And there was a huge bread knife in the middle of the butcher block with a big pool of ketchup in the middle of it.
It wasn't
And that
ketchup.
was on my kitchen table. And I said to my children, what is this? Who did this? What does this mean? And my son John said, Mom, this is some of the things that we have to see and that have been done to us.
Oh, shit.
I knew I had a big, big problem, and I had no idea what it was called. I called all over the country. I had children's drawings for the police. My husband was under arrest for sodomy and oral sex with my children.
You think your husband, did you say your husband? You think you know that about a person before you married them?
And I had all kinds of drawings that had circles and people with, there was black candles always in the middle of these tables, and all this oral and anal sex pictures. And I went to the Catholic Church and I said, I don't know what this is, but it seems to me these drawings are significant. There are all kinds of symbols I
I'll
don't
take it to the Catholic
understand.
Church. They'd be like, hey, we'll keep these for evidence.
And devil heads and goats heads, and I had no idea I did not know what satanic ritual abuse was. Church asked me if I ever had a psychiatric exam.
And they said I was crazy.
And I said, actually, I'm completely sane. I just know that there's symbols in these pictures. No one would help me, even though there was a prosecution.
Lady, that's just a no smoking sign. I think you're just nuts. That was just a no smoking sign. And this is a handicap sign.
Going on. They said if you ever bring up satanic ritual abuse, your credibility is lost and you'll just be a kook, and it doesn't exist and it's not organized in America. Just focus on child sexual abuse. So I took my children to a child sexual abuse hospital, and while they were being treated, and I had legal custody of my children, and my husband and his lawyers and the judge found out my children were in an expert hospital, I confiscated my house, everything I've ever owned from my...
See, why I think this is bullshit, okay? Like, you would have, like, loose, like, just random stories from random people, you know? But he pulls one bitch, and she's like, I was abused by Satanists as a kid. I married a Satanist, and he abused our kids. You know, it's like everything's happening to this bitch. They always do that. They get greedy.
Baby pictures to my clothes. I walked away with literally the clothes we had on our backs. Took my cars, my federal post office box mail, my income, my assets. I lost everything by taking my children to an expert on child abuse.
And a PS triple she lost.
It was trying to stop me from what my children could disclose from being uncovered.
Yeah, exactly. She's just droning on off.
To try and just break that we had no assets to have my children have medical attention. The children being treated for sexual abuse.
Yeah, you'd be like, can you believe what these fucking assholes did to me? You're like, I even got the paperwork. I got the paperwork and they took everything. Look, you old fucker. Look. She don't even care.
And I had provided all the documentation. And one day, the doctor said to me, I need you to come into my office.
They have to be plants.
She said, this is a classic case of SRA.
Because a good strategy to making people go, that's bullshit, is you overblow the story. You know what I mean? You make it seem way more than it really is. You take all the true parts, and then you blow it up to something crazy. And then everyone throws the whole story out, including the true parts.
I had no idea. I mean, SRA, is that like a Irish Republican Army thing? I don't know what SRA is. She said like ritual abuse.
Oh, shit.
And she showed me the drawings that the children were doing in her office.
Oh, yeah, like they do it with stupid, like I mentioned before, Hunter Biden. They're like, oh, man, there's pictures of him fucking kids and animals and dogs. They blow the story up. And it's just like 30 pictures of his Johnson. You know what I mean? Like they're doing it with that too.
And they were of blood sacrifice, of people cutting their arms and dripping blood in chalices, of chalices with devil heads, and on and on and on. It includes group sex. It includes children being killed.
So while you're thinking about stupid Hunter Biden's pecker and what he's sticking it into, you're not looking at the part where he's getting paid by China and shit.
And I remember I just felt like my guts were just punched out of my body. I did not know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I called every organization in the country asking for help, children's organizations. And no one wants to acknowledge satanic ritual abuse. And all the child abuse organizations only say that they lobby. They don't actually help people. And so my quest to save my children has taken me here. And as a consequence, and I can tell you here today, there are other mothers who are here today to ask me for help who have children that were victims
don't talk to this lady.
of satanic ritual abuse. And it's really hard for me because I'm only one person.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't fallen asleep smoking that goo shit, man?
And my life has been annihilated, although I
Do you think they have drinking horns too?
To say it's being rebuilt for the better. But John and Ben, my boys, are 11 and 8 and have lived for 15 or 16 months
with their grandma because they're sickened by me.
In the home of a satanic abuser who has been documented as a member of a cult, who 25 people and the state's attorney in Connecticut are investigating and have substantiated sexual abuse and the cult. And yet the governor and no one has been acting to protect my children. So it makes me wonder just how high this goes.
All the way to the president.
But I'll tell you a story about a little boy that affected my life, and I guess it's besides John and Ben, who I always think about and who I want to stop this from ever happening to another child again.
You sure you want to stop this? You don't sound too, I don't know, enthusiastic.
I heard a story about a little 8-year-old boy.
Hanford?
His mom had taken him to protect him.
And she had taken him to protect him.
Found. And I had been underground for 3 years, by the way.
She means under the fucking museum.
Mother and this little boy were found. The little boy was taken to a basement. He was crucified alive. First he was skinned. When they torture the children, it causes a physical reaction of the endomorphins in your body.
And you know what the man said in the basement after he crucified the kid? He said,
"They do this bullshit every time I come here."
J-Cat, no!
To just increase because of the terror and the pain. So when the Satanists drink the blood, they actually get like a chemical, a high, like a drug high from the blood of a tortured victim. And this little boy was found in the basement dead, with no blood, skinned alive and crucified.
Where the hell is the damn sausage?
This cannot happen to any more children.
Fake cry time.
I can't do it alone.
You need to spend $10, and then we can keep going.
It's really hard. I need each one of you to know this is not a fairy tale. This is not something out of science fiction. I was a mom who ran a charity and baked oatmeal.
Yeah, but don't you got anything to back your story? You can't just go up there and say, let's say if it's 100% true, I'm just supposed to take your word for it? Don't you got anything?
Cookies for my kids.
Don't you got anything?
And because my children are victims, I have to stand here and I have to tell you these horrible stories. And I could tell them all day and all night because both Ted and I get letters and calls for people begging for help all over the country right now. And the only way we can help them is to help save John and Ben first, set the precedence. We will not tolerate this anymore, not only to the children.
You know, old Gunderson's taking her to the back.
But to our
Son of a
own
Gunderson.
lives, and we will not.
What's that from? Son of a Gunderson. Is that from Fargo?
Tolerate this. We must stand together.
Yeah, she's
And
wearing
I
like a
ask
nun
you,
outfit or
please,
something.
Especially prayer and donations and letters. And help me save John and Ben. And then the rest of us are forming a task force to go around the country and start saving everybody else. Thank you very much.
Yay! Thanks, lady, with no proof at all. Back to the projector with you.
Thank you, Linda. Folks, thanks for very much. Any of you have any questions? I guess there's no microphones up here, but go ahead, Renee. Just come down here in front and yell at me.
I think it was Fargo. They called him son of a Gunderson.
It's immediately behind this curtain on the left, and if you can just go put a few dollars in the basket there, it'll help.
Fuck you, you jerk.
What we have now is we have a team
I'm just saying I want a little more evidence.
of investigators organized
If she lost her house and her kids, she'd have something backing that
in
up.
Connecticut. Many of them are working on a voluntary basis. Some are charging a minimal amount, the discount rate. We have attorney fees. We have filing fees to file the civil rights federal violations.
These fucking cornball presentations was like a prototype YouTube. You know what I mean?
Case against the 4 judges. And the state of Connecticut, which was filed here about 10 days ago, cost us $1,000.
Well, he's got lawyer fees, negative YouTube.
We served the 4 judges, 2 attorneys, and the governor with letters just about 2 days ago telling them unless they release the oldest boy back.
Wait, we got a question for you, Gunderson.
Maybe you should lose a little bit of weight, fat ass.
Oh, shit. That was harsh. How dare you ask? He's an FBI agent, all right? You don't talk to them like that.
By the way, this boy is not the biological son of the ex-husband. He never adopted this child. Unless they release this child back, we're going to file criminal felony charges against the judges and the governor and others in the state of Connecticut.
You ain't charging nobody. Shut up.
Kidding. We're going to do it, okay?
How are you going to charge anybody?
We have been working with a friend of mine. I brought him into the case, Jack Firm, a paralegal, Las Vegas, and he's probably one of the most brilliant men I've ever known. He's doing circles around these attorneys who have taken thousands of dollars.
He's the most brilliant guy I've ever seen. He took one of them 1,000-piece puzzles and he put it together. How does he do it?
And he is really responsible for what's happening today more than anybody else. We're all a team, but still he's the one main man in the arena as far as the law is concerned. Any other questions that we have? Yes, come on up to the microphone, please.
Put money in the basket first, bitch.
Come to the microphone, because they need to get this recorded.
We listen to your stories, and we wonder if this happens to us or our family or anyone. Where would you go, and who would you go to?
Well, I can't answer that because I'm just a plant. I'll just say, hey, let's hope nothing ever happens to you.
You quit the FBI. Terry Reid quit. And you implied that the governor, right on down, and, the president and all are crooked at the dog's hind leg. Who would you talk to if you had a problem tomorrow?
Who would you talk to if you had a problem tomorrow? Give me a call.
You didn't think about that one, did you, Gunderson?
I'll help as all the best I can.
Basically, you're fucked.
I have a network of people that can probably help you. I've had a number of people contact me over the last several years, and I refer them to other experts.
But he is a spook, punk rock.
And
a government
we'll have to
spook.
take each case at a time, but if we can help you, just give us a call. I have a flyer out here. It's got my phone number on it.
Every time I got satanically, ritually abused, Gunderson, and every time I call you, you say, "Hey, I'll see you," and then you hang up. Hey, that's a great story. Hey, take care.
No, I'm referring to something happens here in Denver. I need help. Do I call the police? Do I call the governor? Who do I call? If they're all crooked, as you implied, and I believe you, you go to them and they draw a line and say, we're not going to investigate. What do you do?
Well, that's why I'm saying call me, because we have the network of people.
What you do is you hold a sign and you just run around in a circle yelling while you hold the sign. That will help.
And we're in the process of forming a foundation. And we're going to be seeking some money to finance it. And as Linda said, we're going to have a task force that'll go around the country and handle these problems. Probably going to be.
Have you seen Porky's 3 on VHS? It's dynamite, but I got to return it.
And the one on a paper hanger.
So I'll see you.
But just give us a call. We'll do what we can to help you. We'll
Who do I turn to? Well, you could take some karate classes.
try to help you. Can you go to the police? Yes. Go to the police. Make a matter of record. What I suggest you do with the police is go talk to them personally
and then go back and write a letter, confirm your conversation, send it registered mail so you have it on record. Anybody you talk to in these type cases, make sure you have it a matter of record. Certified mail. Yes, question.
Yes, will you name public profile figures that were suspects out in the California case?
Thank you. Thank you. Drop some names, motherfucker. No, I will not do that.
You know, the people that were named by the children?
Look, he's smiling. He's like, man, these motherfuckers, no one ever asked me that question.
Can you do that?
No, I can't name them.
Fuck you, Gunderson. You piece of shit. That's how you know this guy is fake.
Because I can't prove it. All I can tell you is what the kids said.
Yeah, okay, dude.
And the kids, they basically have said that the children were not credible. And I think if I said anything, I'd
whatever you say, whatever you say, douche.
I'm not afraid. If I could name them without being sued, I would. But believe me, they're very prominent people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, that narrows it down, asshole. Yeah, well, I can't name them because, you know, but hey, they're super famous and stuff.
What elements of possible satanic
yeah, exactly.
abuse do you see in the John Bonet case?
Interesting question. What elements of possible satanic activity do I see in the Bonet case? I can't prove it. From the day that case broke in the news until today, I see signs of it, indications of it. The tourniquet around the little girl's neck. One of the practices that they have in their mind control activity is to take a child right up near death and then bring them back from close to death. I would suspect that that's a possibility here, that they took this child too far and the child passed away.
You're just making shit up now.
I don't know again, but I'm saying based on my experience and expertise, good possibility of that. I'd say there's a good possibility that, in fact, I'm confident that the family knows much more than what they're telling.
Let me tell you another story about the government. They had a secret lab where they were making radioactive spiders. And one time this guy got bit by a spider, and he got the power of both spider and man. And he saves people in the city, but I can't name them. Because I can't prove it.
They were not cooperative for a number of months would indicate that. My instincts tell me
That's right. Never have a Q&A session.
I would have to say she was probably a victim of a pedophile operation or a pedophile ring, which dovetails into Satanism and cult activity. Any other questions? Well, thanks, folks. I enjoyed appearing before you, and I hope you learned something.
The projector lady's already warming the car up.
Some of my research and make copies and pass it out. Education.
Don't clap for this asshole. They call him Man Spider. Oh, yeah. What a crock of shit. Oh, man. Like I said, there's parts of that story that are true. There really was tunnels under a preschool. Oh, man. Hanford. Hanford. Get the lights. Come on, Hanford, today. Thanks, Hanford. All right, guys. All that to find out it was all bullshit at the end. But it was a dank time. We learned so much about tunnels and such. I know that the tunnel was very triangular. And that is something they can never take away from me. But, hey, I'll see you later, everybody. Thanks for coming out and all that. And I'll see you later. Bye. No, I'm not naming anybody.
Where'd you think he's flying to? Maybe he has a family, too.
They'll sue me or something. Plus, that would prove my story. Bye, everybody.